We are under Israeli military restrictions in terms of some of the things that we can film, but it's important to be in there. What a slow drive for the president as he approaches his golf club.
4 more years!
Free wherever you get your news.
I'm Mark Stone and I'm Sky's correspondent based here in Washington, D.C.
Welcome back. You're watching Sky News. In just a moment, the press preview, a first look at what's on the front pages as they arrive. But first, our top stories. President Trump has tonight defended his decision to impose new tariffs, saying America is going to boom. He was speaking after the country's Dow Jones stock market index fell by its greatest amount since the early months of the pandemic. Tonight, the president has said the UK is happy with the tariffs applied against it. Keir Starmer said he would represent his country's views. Prince Harry has said he hopes an investigation by the Charity Commission into his Centre Barley charity will unveil the truth following allegations denied by its chair that the Duke of Sussex was guilty of bullying. You are watching the press preview, a first look at what's on the front pages as they arrive. It's time to see what's making the headlines with Labour peer and broadcaster Baroness Hazarika and Mark Wallace, Chief Executive of Total Politics Group. They'll be with us from now until just before midnight. So let's see what's on some of those front pages for you now. On the front of the Financial Times, the world reels from Trump trade shock. Meltdown, says the Mail, as it reports that global stock markets plunged by £2 trillion following the US president's tariff announcements. The Guardian carries a similar headline, labelling the aftermath as tariff turmoil. The Telegraph leads with a quote from the former Chancellor, Jeremy Hunt, who thinks the Prime Minister should use the opportunity to turn Britain into Singapore on Thames. The Eye reports the UK is considering retaliatory tariffs on electric cars, alcohol and clothes, saying Britain threatens America with new Tesla tax as stock markets tumble. The Daily Star's headline, and he's off his head, as they say, bookie Don's big gamble wrecks the world's economy. And The Sun also leads on the tariffs, claiming there is a threat to US lavatories. Their words to Trump: bog off. The Metro leads with the Charity Commission launching an investigation into the Duke of Sussex's charity, Centre Barley, with the headline, Harry, it's all lies. The Daily Express also quotes Prince Harry, who said it's heartbreaking to witness such blatant lies. And the Mirror also leads on the charity investigation. We are joined tonight by Ayesha and Mark. Welcome to you both. One story in town, certainly on most of the front pages, if not all. We'll start with tariffs, of course, and the one-word headline, the Daily Mail, meltdown, which seems to me quite an accurate description. Ayesha.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, as you say, just going through the front pages, quite a lot of newspapers really tracking the stock markets. And since the announcement was made last night, you know, we've had about 24 hours to see how the markets have reacted, and not well is the answer to that. There is the obligatory picture of a trader with his head in his hands, in a kind of funny coat and sort of a headgear. But look, there's real consternation in, I think, every developed economy across the world from last night through today about the effect on their economy. You know, it's just incredible that this modern-day orthodoxy that we would try and take down barriers to trade, you know, all of that has just sort of gone overnight. And people are really worried that this is going to have a profound effect on the stock markets, on people's economy, on business. We're going to come on to discuss some of the businesses that could be re-affected here in the UK. But this is, I thought JP Morgan did an analysis saying these tariffs are the equivalent of a massive tax hike for ordinary people in America. And that will probably be the same for consumers all over the world. I mean, in economic terms, this is madness.
And that's the really crucial thing to remember, that when you hear the president, and you did quite a lot of the coverage, talk about putting tariffs on these companies or on those things or in this country, these tariffs are paid by American businesses and American consumers. It's a decision to say, the ingredients, the products, the components that you choose to buy will now cost you more. And that is where people so often misunderstand exactly what a tariff is. This is about extracting money from the American economy and in so doing, making the cost of living higher. So the damage done by that will be huge domestically in the US as well as elsewhere. And I think when you look at the markets being down, yes, the FTSE's down, the DAX is down, the Nikkei's down, you would expect all of those things. What's really interesting is the dollar's also gone down. Interestingly, there are also signs of even companies like Ford, who you might imagine would be up on the back of this, their share price suffered as a result. And that is a sign that there is a well-developed understanding in the market, if not in the White House, about how the economy works.
But Ayesha also was going to talk about the American public who do seem to understand exactly how tariffs work. We were speaking to David Bevins, our US correspondent, before, and the polls are suggesting that I think 65% of them are against the tariffs and they realise that they're going to pay for it.
And I think there's a real arrogance from the new administration who are sort of, in their answers to questions, acknowledging that prices are going to go up, but sort of indicating that the public are just going to have to suck it up. You know, J.D. Vance was out saying, look, wages are going to rise slightly. That will help people counter the effect of inflation. But whatever your political stripe, everybody knows that, you know, if you are in the seat of government, inflation is your enemy. The idea that you would say, look, we're just going to price in a bit of inflation, particularly, you know, on the right of politics, to say that everyone should just suck up some inflation is just mad. And I think for consumers in America, consumers all around the world, Mark and I were just talking about this earlier, it just feels that the screw has not stopped turning for ordinary people for over 10 years now, particularly in Britain. You know, you've had austerity, you've had Brexit, we had COVID, we had the mini budget from Liz Truss, we had the UK, the Ukraine invasion, the inflation crisis. And the tragedy about this is going to have huge repercussions across the world. This is going to make businesses worse off. It's going to jeopardise jobs. It's going to hurt wages. It's going to hurt everyday people in their pockets. And this is man-made. This is not some kind of accident. This isn't some kind of act of God. This is a decision by a man in America.
The Sun, take us to that paper, Mark, which is hinting at the possible fight back from the UK, potentially. I mean, one of the things they've listed, the 8,000 possible products, but one of the things listed, toilet seats.
Yes, and this is why things get called a trade war, because you can have two sides involved in them. And I think this is hugely dangerous for our country as well as other countries, which, you know, the EU is considering this, as are others. The instinct to say, you've put tariffs on, we're going to put tariffs on too, and you have an escalation of this situation. I think the government hasn't announced it's going to do that. There's talk, I think, on the front of the aisle of the Tesla tax as one way of phrasing that too, if not just on toilet seats. They've opened a discussion with business to ask what kind of retaliatory action business might be open to. I think there's a real danger that everybody buys into this fundamental economic misunderstanding and decides that, well, if you do tariffs, we're going to do tariffs as well. Actually, buying and selling benefits the buyer and the seller. That's how the market economy works. That's a great wonder of what's been achieved. It's where Trump is very mistaken to think, well, if we're, you know, to start looking at trade deficits as inherently being a bad sign. I think the economist Joan Robinson said many years ago very, very aptly about this. Just because another country chooses to fill its own harbour with rocks doesn't mean you should decide to fill yours with rocks in return. That doesn't make any sense. You wouldn't be damaging the United States directly or gaining anything yourself. You'd be saying, you're stupidly taxing your own consumers and businesses. We're going to stupidly tax on. So I really hope this doesn't happen. There are alternative things you can do in response to this. We could decide to start establishing, you know, a lowering of tariffs and other barriers to non-US businesses to further improve our competitiveness, and that would have a negative effect on the US, and that would be something they might consider.
Well, I very much hope in that vein that we do move to have better trading relationship with Europe. You know, they are our closest sort of trading ally. They're on our doorstep. I think that will also put pressure in terms of let's open, you know, better trading relations with them. The other thing which is really unique to Britain is in the post-Brexit world is Northern Ireland, because they're going to be in a very, very interesting position where there's 10% tariffs on Britain, 20%
Europe, yes.
tariffs on EU products, and that's going to make the situation in Northern Ireland, again, is, you know, really quite difficult.
Yeah, following the Windsor Agreement, that's a complication. In terms of restraint from the UK, let's look at the Daily Telegraph, because that's exactly what Jeremy Hunt, the erstwhile Chancellor, is proposing, that the UK should follow a Singapore model and go for, you know, free economy. Mark?
Well, I mean, you know, full disclosure, I would be in favour of this anyway. But the fact is that I think, as I just said, it would be much more productive for us to choose to do things which we think are going to make our economy stronger and more competitive, particularly in the face of these increased headwinds. Like Ayesha said, this is a man-made economic disaster. It's a storm that's coming our way, and we have to decide, even more than we did already, which was already urgent, how we can make our economy more competitive in you know, a very important way. There's been a lot of discussion, you know, the fact is that 10% tariffs on this country is a very bad thing. We are fortunate that we are not facing 20% tariffs on this country, but 10% is still bad and it's still going to hurt. And we need to look at all the options in terms of what we can do to make our economy more competitive.
And when you think about, we've just had you know, a pretty difficult spring statement, a lot of difficult welfare cuts coming down the track. The Chancellor does not have much headroom. You know, we're looking ahead to the budget in autumn, where there's the prospect of maybe more tax increases or more spending cuts. I mean, a hit to the economy of, you know, even if it's 0.5% of GDP is absolutely massive. You know, that is going to have a huge, huge effect here in the United Kingdom. I mean, look, there is the only thing that I think people are sort of clinging on to is sometimes with Trump, he will start with a figure and start in a position which is an opening gambit. And sometimes, you know, he might move back from that. So I think the government is right to not kind of rush out with a hot-headed statement right now. I think the government is right to kind of keep a cool head. I think this consultation with business organisations is going to be really important to get a sense in business what they would like to see. And, you know, this Jeremy Hunt idea, fine, that can feed into that consultation, but all ideas should come in through a consultation. There should be a calm period of reflection, because what we don't need, we've got one hothead in the White House. We don't need Britain from Downing Street to start kind of, you know, acting in a rash or irrational way.
Ayesha and Mark, thank you very much for the moment. We are going to take a break coming up. Prince Harry says it's all lies as the Charity Commission launches an investigation into his charity Centre Barley after allegations of bullying and harassment. Stay with us.
First Minister, how are you?
Good morning. Good morning.
Nice to see you. How are you feeling?
Looking forward to getting into the parliamentary chamber.
Are you any further forward to making a decision?
No, it's an important day today.
All of the claims were in line with my parliamentary duties, so I'm making that clear to you, Conor.
He was a Scot through and through.
He was a very good politician.
Alex Salmond was controversial, he was a disruptor, but above all, he was respected.
Will you resign if you lose this week?
Again, I'm not planning to, of course, lose the vote of no confidence. I'm planning to win that vote of no confidence.
His face said it all.
My intention to stand down as party leader.
This is now a storm with deadly consequences.
How are they feeling?
They're a bit scared at the minute.
We've been told to evacuate.
How are you feeling?
Devastated.
Hundreds of homes were wiped out by flooding. I'm Conor Gillis, Sky's Scotland correspondent.
It was probably the darkest time in my life.
Scott is 5 years sober after a cocaine addiction left him close to death. Scotland has a shameful record, worse than England, the worst in Europe.
Why not just say you've failed? Because then you might get more respect from families who've lost loved ones.
This is where one of the UK's most prolific rapists thought he'd got away with murder. Sky News can reveal that former sex workers had told police he was sexually violent.
My Emma.
Free wherever you get your news. It's over, isn't it? The Americans say he is Rossi, a fraudster. This has been one of the most bizarre cases ever heard in a courtroom in this country. A dangerous murderer.
Do you think you'll ever be able to forgive Andrew Ennis after this?
She said she can forgive him, but as long as he's behind bars.
By doing the right thing, it's destroyed your life.
They terrorised me. They intimidated me.
Sky News. The full story first.
The Premier League run-in is live on NBC and Peacock. as City Pride is on the line with a pair of iconic derbies.
It doesn't get any better.
Thursday, it's a London derby. Chelsea.
Beautiful goal from Chelsea.
Spurs.
What a game!
Then Sunday,
Brace yourself, Manchester, for the mother of all derbies.
United.
Here the place!
City. The Premier League run-in is live on NBC and streaming on Peacock.
We've got your Sunday mornings covered. From the front page and the sounds of the streets to the voices of the people who make the major calls and big picture politics beyond Westminster. We'll put you at the heart of our story. I'm ready. Are you? Join me, Trevor Phillips, Sunday mornings on Sky News.
We're rolling.
Welcome to the world.
Our new podcast, starting now. It's very exciting. Every week we'll be reporting from the world's trouble spots.
We get to hold those in positions of power accountable, and we get to ask the questions that the audience, the listeners, want to know about.
And that's why it is so important that people tune in, come along for the road, come along for the journey. It'll be fun.
Welcome back. You are watching the press preview. Still with me, Ayesha Hazarika and Mark Wallace. Let's take a look at the Metro. And this is a story concerning Prince Harry and him stepping back from the charity that he founded, Centre Barley. The new line today is that the Charity Commission is looking at concerns raised by the chair of Centre Barley, allegations against Prince Harry of harassment and bullying and misogyny. He's come back today and issued a statement, you know, saying that he's heartbroken to witness what he's described as blatant lies.
Yeah, I mean, it's not getting more edifying with the telling, this story, is it? And there have been various rumblings. I mean, it's 19 years now since Prince Harry set up Centre Barley as its co-founder. It's been something that has always been very visibly very close to his heart. And there have evidently been problems going on for quite some time. And at the minute, the Charity Commission investigation is going to happen. We don't know all the facts. We'll learn all of the facts, I'm sure, when that investigation reports. They've said they'll look at situations with allegations about former trustees, counter-allegations about current trustees, the administration and structure and governance of the charity. But from the outside, it looks like essentially everybody involved seems to be pointing at each other, saying, you're an untrustworthy egotist who wants to hog all the attention, has been bad for this charity. And they're doing it in public, which is not really good for anybody. I mean, I think Marina Hyde in The Guardian wrote the other day an understandably less than sympathetic piece saying it must be really difficult for Prince Harry when someone who's really closely involved in an institution that really matters to loads of people decides to go public and air all their dirty laundry with allegations you can't really rebut. So there is a slight kind of element of the kind of Spider-Man pointing at Spider-Man gif, I think, with this, where they're both kind of a little bit identical. Let's hope we find out what on earth's happened. I mean, there's more dirty laundry aired on this inside the Metro today, and it just seems to be getting worse.
But both the chair and Prince Harry are looking forward to the commission and think that the truth will be unveiled.
Yes, I mean, that seems to be the line, doesn't it? Which is this, robust probe will unveil the truth. You know, a bit of sunlight being the best disinfectant.
Recollections may vary.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. But it is just a shame that it has come to this. But some of the, I have to say, picking through the details of it, I'm trying to be open-minded about it, but some of the allegations, like one of the allegations is that Meghan Markle brought, was it Serena Williams to a
charity tennis match without
surely
telling
that
them.
would be quite a good thing if I've been involved in charity things and it's quite good to have high-profile people there.
I would be absolutely delighted if you unexpectedly brought Serena Williams to the Sky Papers.
It's funny that you mention that because we don't...
The Commission will look into all of
exactly.
these
but
questions.
It's a shame that it has come to this because it's a charity that did good work.
Thank you both. Let's have a look at the weather now.
A bright start and always a warm welcome. The weather, sponsored by Qatar Airways.
Well, high pressure will keep things mostly settled, with tomorrow bringing the UK's highest temperature of the year so far. Expect a mild start in the cloudy southwest with some patchy light rain possible. Elsewhere, it'll be clearer and colder with some misty low cloud in the northeast. Any early rain over Wales and southwest England will soon fade through the morning.
A bright start and always a warm welcome. Qatar Airways sponsors the weather.
Sky News get the full story first.
Is this now all your territory?
Yeah. The battlefield is outside the barricades. We are in the middle of a forest, in a jungle really, and they're attempting to keep these men alive. I'm Stuart Ramsey, and I'm Sky's chief correspondent. It's really dangerous. Many people have died riding it.